on. Will Hondo show up? Will this show tap into any of the major sequel trilogy or Mandoverse era narratives? All this and more in SWTS 333. And of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top Punch it, Chewy.
Hey, now, everybody. Oh boy, I've been dreading this day for a while. I will do my best. Young Nick, sadly, at the last minute, had to tap out another meeting. So just like last week, I'm going to have to carry the show for probably the first hour. I'll try my best. Wasn't necessarily prepared for this, considering I got it at the last second. But hey, here we are. Here we are. Hey, I will do my best, people, to try to deliver the SWTS live show experience that you've come to know and somewhat mediocrely love. But if you've been watching this show for a while, you probably understand I'm not in the best headspace after the election here in the States. And it's just been an odd day trying to reckon with where this country is headed and the way this country thinks. And I know we're not as all divided and as far apart on issues as it may seem, but my goodness, I was not expecting the complete shift to the far right. So here we are. Not going to talk about that shit though. I'm sure a lot of you, some of you, you may be happy as fuck. You know what? Good for you. I hope you're right and things don't turn into 1930s Germany, but I tend to believe people when they say certain things. So that's why I'm a little like, uh-oh. Also a father of an 8-year-old girl, so that concerns me a little bit. I know myself as a white Christian male. I'm peak American, but I thinking about the rest of you in the future here. So that's all I'll say. We'll move on. I don't know if Nick's going to say anything. Probably not, but that's it for me. Yeah, League, I mean, listen, I'm with you on the Electoral College, but that didn't even matter. Like, I can't explain what happened. I have 3 theories. One involves some shenanigans, which I'm never going to kind of sweep under the rug for the GOP. The other is just America's issue with females in power, especially if they are a person of color. And then finally, and more than likely, or maybe a combo of all 3, but this country, whether we want to believe it or not, has tilted right pretty hard. So, yeah. All right. Like I said, I don't want to get into this shit. I already have a very small audience that thinks I'm an asshole. So we got a MAGA guy in here. Let's let them, have some fun. Show them that, we can actually be humans if we don't win. So there you go, LV. MAGA it up, buddy. Enjoy the new world order, because that's where we're headed. All right, let's get back onto some fun shit. You guys can all tune into your local news if you want to consume that trash. So here we go. We're going to talk some Star Wars today. Hopefully, I do have a somewhat of a double special segment. We're going to break down the Skeleton Crew trailer, and by we, I think I'm talking about the mouse in my pocket, if young Nick doesn't show up anytime soon. I did a deep dive lore take on Hondo. All right. Last week we had one of our members ask very politely, hey guys, can you start talking about some character lore on the show? And we oblige. That's how we roll here at the SWTS. You pay us money, we'll do stuff. Okay, we're shills. Remember back in the Acolyte days, we were huge Disney shills. I'm surprised I still even work with all the money I cashed in from Disney. But hey, I guess I must like what I do. I must like this silly little show and the people that come here to hang out. So yeah, we're gonna take a deep dive into Hondo. I actually put it out on our website, something we haven't used lately in the past few years. We've both gotten lazy there, even though at the end of every show, I'm like, hey, go check out StarWarsTime.net. That's where our content shows up in between shows when it's really just the top 5 and the show post. But I did do a whole website post for Hondo. So what I did, I'll be honest, I don't give a shit. I'm not stupid. I'm using AI. I took the Hondo wiki, fed it into Notebook LM, and then asked the questions. So it would give me just bullet point, very succinct information on the character. So if you go to StarWarsTime.net right now, or just stay tuned here to this podcast / live stream, I'll go through those bullet points. What's even cooler is this AI can actually podcastify the content. So I asked it to do that, and it created a 13-minute conversation between 2 fake people organically talking about the character of Hondo Ohnaka. So you're going to hear about him live here. You can take your studying even further over on StarWarsTime.net or YouTube.com/StarWarsTime Show, where we have the Hondo trailer. So he's a cool dude. It did sound real, right, Ben? We got Ben in here in the chat. What's going on, brother? It is amazing what this AI can do and what it sounds like. And Ben, or for those that care, if you're in the tech, it took maybe 2 minutes to create that podcast. It took more time for me to turn it into a video so I could upload it to YouTube than actually getting the AI to do what it needs to do. So pretty cool stuff over there. So yeah, so we also learned the name of an Inquisitor. It's an Inquisitor name we've been asking about. Who is the first brother? We know that now, so obviously we'll get into that. I just got to figure out the new flow of the show, why young Nick is on a meeting here. So I think I'm just going to get right into some of the news, right? Let's talk a little news. I did not watch a new movie last week. It was Halloween. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their Halloween, one of our last normal weeks of society. I will say my neighborhood is kind of whack. I feel bad for my daughter and the other little kids. It's just, I mean, outside of our cul-de-sac, in maybe a half mile within the block, no one gives out candy here. I mean, we were done in like an hour and 10 minutes. Weather was fine. Pretty pathetic, my friends. All right, so let's get to this first little news bit here. For those of you in the know, Mando mugshots. I'll put your comment up, Mando. I'm not going to read it all, but yeah, it is what it is, right? There's Bango coming in. He's letting his thoughts know. There you go. Speak your name. Hey, I gave the MAGA guy the floor, so have at it. It's all good. Like I said, I'm not going to try to be one of these people that isn't MAGA to sit there and act like a jerk off for the next 4 years. So I'll do my best. But anyways, if we take a look at the screen here, and if you're going, oh, you guys got a screen? Well, if you've only been listening to the podcast of the Star Wars Time Show, we do a live stream every week, Wednesday, 5 p. Eastern, as close as you can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. So come in and check us out. But up on the screen, we've got, I think there's some book coming out. I don't know where it came from. But we finally know who the first brother is. I know on this very dumb show in the past, we were talking about, okay, we got the second sister, the third sister is Reva. We got the fourth sister, the fifth brother, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, we knew them all, but we're like, who the hell was the first? Who was the first sister or brother? Well, now we know. And it was the Inquisitor that got all of 2 minutes of screen time in Ahsoka's Tales of the Jedi journey from 2 years ago. Yeah, very cool looking dude. He reappeared again in Tales of the Empire, if you remember very briefly, when Darth Vader comes in to anoint the new Inquisitors, including Barriss Offee, we can see the first brother there. So here he is, the first brother, one of Darth Vader's Force-attuned Jedi hunters. This Inquisitor is dispatched to follow a tip that a Jedi has appeared in a remote village. He kills almost everyone there and is even ready to attack the Imperial informant. But Ahsoka Tano confronts and defeats him. I mean, it wasn't even a battle, if you remember this. I mean, it literally wasn't even a battle. So that's right, Bat. Inquisitor Bob no more. He is the first brother. And as we know, he meets his demise at the hands of one Ahsoka Tano. In fact, an Ahsoka Tano that seemed to kind of be hiding her latent Force abilities, not really practicing up on her skills, and she still easily dispatched him. So there you go. First brother out and about. He is no longer Inquisitor Bob. We have a name for the dude. All right. Well, what else do I want to get into? I wish I saw a movie last week, but I did not. This week, I'm considering checking out the, what's the new one from A24? Heretic? Is it Heretic? With Hugh Grant? That looks pretty good. And I think we're getting our first Christmas movie of the theater season. I don't know the name. I think it's a kind of a play on a book, but that's coming up. It's something about the Christmas pageant, something, if you know what I mean. So there we go. We got our first brother covered up. What else could we get into? Could do a little Ask Us Anything, or we could get right into who is Hondo Ohnaka. Let me go ahead. Watch this. I don't know if everyone's seen this before. I don't even know when this showed up in Safari, but I can now just click on stuff and make it disappear. And it even has a particle effect, like Thanos is snapping his fingers. See you later, ads. Gotta love it. All right, yeah, why not? Let's do the Hondo stuff. Does that sound good with you live streamers out there? Hey there, Sir Dork. Good, Sir Dork. I like how I'm talking these days. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. It's an interesting day here doing this Star Wars Time Show live. But we're here and we're doing it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, Jared, you better tune in. Just because you're editing doesn't mean you can't listen, pal. Doesn't mean that you can't listen. Yeah, Mando mugshots. I do think Heretic looks cool. What is the Star Wars connection? I've only seen the trailer once, so I wonder what the connection is. Is it an actor, a writer, director, something like that? If you're still listening, let us know. Thank you, Mando mugshots. Hey there, Bat. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Sir Dork, you don't need sound to video edit. Just guess, bro. You're an expert, right? If anything, worse comes to worse, blow off a firework. Okay. All right. So, anyways, this segment is probably going to work better with just me anyway, since I did the write up. I know what I'm going to say, and poor Nick would just be sitting here kind of looking stupid. So I'm going to go ahead and punt to the thank you. Keep those tabs open for views and watch time. We need watch time, people. Always start the show, even if you don't plan on watching it. Start this bitch and let it play until the game over screen comes up. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you all. But yeah, I think this is a good kind of schedule shift with Nick not here. Let's go ahead and get into who is Hondo Ohnaka, Star Wars' most infamous space pirate. Character lore explained. Ching! I still contend we need sound effects. Here we go. All right, so if you're not familiar with Hondo, let's get into it. That's right, Mando's right. One of the Technicolor gang from the Book of Boba Fett is one of the leads in Heretic. Thank you, Mando Mugshot. You nailed it. All right, so let's get into who is this crusty-looking weequay we call Hondo Ohnaka? Where did he come from? What was his life like before he became a pirate, and what was his life like after he became a pirate? It's very interesting. I learned a bit more. I thought I knew a lot about Hondo, but I definitely learned something through this deep dive, so hopefully you will too. So let's get right into it, okay? All right, so starting off with Hondo's early life, if you didn't know, he started his life on Sreeler, obviously, a big-time planet that every Star Wars fan knows about, good old Sreeler. But his childhood was kind of rough, like some of us that may need therapy later in life. Hondo was definitely a candidate for this because his parents essentially neglected him, did teach him how to be a con artist and a pickpocket, but they were such nice parents that they sold him into slavery. So Hondo was sold into slavery from his own parents. So one can start to kind of already connect the dots of how this Weequay ends up on the wrong side of the law and becomes a space pirate. And even when he's trying to do the good thing, he still tends to fuck over good people, but ultimately will do a good thing again. So he's got some baggage. Okay, he's got some baggage. Grew up poor, had to steal, cheat, and pickpocket, and then when he was needed no more, his family sold him to slavery. So, but that didn't stop him. He started to kind of develop his ingenuity, charm, and skill at being a scoundrel from an early age. So early on, he disguised himself and escaped his slavery on a ship to Bunta. So this was really where Hondo's life started to change. He's no longer a slave. He escaped. He's doing something for himself. He made his way to Bunta, and he's going to start making those first steps en route to becoming a space pirate. All right, so after he lands on Bunta, he's now free, no longer a slave. He enters the service of Porla the Hutt, first as his cupbearer, but he soon rose to become his trusted advisor. See, they were so close, Hondo got so close with Porla the Hutt, that he learned the intricacies of illicit trade and really honed his skills in deception and manipulation. This is where Hondo's pirate side really started to develop and become his dominant personality. Because after Porla kind of shows Hondo the ropes, he betrays him. So driven by this new ambition he has found, Hondo orchestrated a daring betrayal of Porla, stole his skiff, stole some vehicles, stole some weapons, and he even formed his initial pirate gang with other escapees from Porla the Hutt's service. So this betrayal of Porla the Hutt was the true birth of the Ohnaka Space Pirate Gang, which is the gang we came to either know and love or know and appreciate or know and sometimes hate in the Clone Wars. That's right. By the Clone Wars era, Hondo Ohnaka has become the pirate king of Florum. So Florum is where he kind of set himself up. You would have seen this planet in the Clone Wars a few times. In fact, this is kind of where Grievous comes and kicks the crap out of him. He needs to team up with Obi-Wan and Adigalia. So if you're getting some of those Clone Wars flashes, that's the planet. So kind of a dark planet, not full-on Tatooine, but think about out in our desert, Arizona, stuff like that. Kind of that orange look, mountainous, craggy-looking regions. So on Florum, this is where he kind of establishes the pirate haven, his gang, the Ohnaka gang. They set up a base on Florum. On this base, he's got a huge hideout. He's got a landing pad, a detention center, a marketplace, even a private hangar for his prized starships. So he is good to go here on Florum. And now that he's got his base established, he's got his pirate gang up and running. This is where he starts getting into the raids and trying to find his riches. And this is where we really would have kind of first met him in the Clone Wars. So, I mean, the Ohnaka gang on all these backwater worlds, they're out there terrorizing small communities and stealing their resources because there was minimal resistance. You know, their success brought them a ton of wealth and solidified Hondo's rep as one hell of a pirate king in the galaxy during the Clone Wars era. One raid in particular that was captured in the Clone Wars, and you might remember, is when Hondo and his team raid a Felucian village for Nacilian spice. But through the combined efforts of the Jedi and a group of bounty hunters that included Embo, I believe, for the first time, they were repelled. All right. Hondo and his gang also got himself mixed up with Count Dooku. If you remember another run in the Clone Wars era, Hondo captured Dooku in the hopes of collecting a huge ransom from the Republic, but those stupid-ass goody two-shoe Jedis intervened, which then led Hondo and his gang to capturing Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But by the end of it, thanks to a series of chaotic events and hijinks, Dooku gets away, and the Jedi don't necessarily want to kill Hondo. They kind of come to an agreement, and that's been one of the more interesting things with Hondo. Hondo kind of ended up really appreciating the Jedi, not for them being the keepers of the peace, but I think for a mix of fucking with them, giving him and his gang something to do, giving them a challenge, and also I think a bit of respect, mostly for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then we'll learn in the Rebellion era that he really, I truly think he had his most soft spot in his heart was for Ezra Bridger, 100%. So anyways, after his encounter with Dooku in the Clone Wars era, like I said, lots of conflicts with the Jedi. And that's because his thirst for profit obviously put him on their radar, which led to multiple encounters. Usually it was going to be Anakin and Kenobi. Sometimes Ahsoka was in there. And like I said, a lot of times he was both allied with the Jedi and at odds with the Jedi. And depending on which outcome was going to make him more profit, he would kind of lean in that direction. And at one point, he kidnaps Ahsoka and tries to sell her to the CIS. So when his plan to get Dooku and sell him to the Republic didn't work, he's like, all right, well, I'll take a Jedi, a famous Jedi, a known Jedi, an important Jedi, and try to sell her to the CIS. There's also a series where we would have saw Hondo offering bounty hunters such as Aurra Sing and a young Boba Fett protection after being targeted by the Jedi. In fact, if my memory serves me well, which it often doesn't, I believe the bounty hunter episode with the space pirates is the episode that leads to potentially Aurra Sing's death. I remember she flies away and crashes or something like that in Hondo's saucer ship. That's the other thing. If you remember, Hondo literally had a flying saucer during the Clone Wars, which is pretty awesome. So he was mixed up with Separatists, Sith, Jedi, bounty hunters. I mean, this dude was all over the place. All over the place back in the Clone Wars. He also helped the Jedi at times, all right? I mean, there was a mission where he actually ended up delivering rocket launchers to Onderon rebels because Anakin wanted him to do it. So like I said, he appreciated the Jedi. I think he liked the challenge. He liked being pushed by them, but he also, in the end, would help them. So he does have a heart. He's not just some big scumbag pirate out there. He also fought the Maul brothers. The Maul brothers, all right? So Maul and Savage Opress, they attack Florum, literally, the home base of the pirates. And things are looking dire. They start to literally recruit Hondo's gang away from him, and they do leave Hondo, because that's what pirates do. If a bigger badass comes in with more money and better opportunities, they're going to jump ship. That is the pirate way. But luckily, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Adi Gallia were there, and they helped Hondo defeat the Sith brothers. And then finally, which kind of leads to the true end of his gang, was when Count Dooku wanted revenge for his capture, and he sent Grievous to attack Florum, and the Separatists absolutely decimated it. They absolutely decimated this pirate haven, which, like I said, forced Hondo and his remaining loyalists to flee. And guess who helped them during this attack? That's right. The Jedi, in particular, Ahsoka Tano, and some younglings. So the dude loves getting mixed up with Force users. It's not even close. Bat saying here, Beckett pushed Aurra Sing off a cliff, I thought. I don't know. I mean, is that discussed in the Solo movie? I forget. Is it in a book? I don't know. But I do know in the Clone Wars, Aurra Sing crashes in a ship, and you have to wonder if she made it out. Outside of that, the old mushy brain cannot recall anything more. All right, so now we've taken Hondo up through the Clone Wars era. Up through the Clone Wars era. All right, Bat's saying he does say it in Solo, so there you go. I guess that's the new rewrite and just the way Dave Filoni works. He will contradict himself just like George Lucas did on canon, which is another reason some of you that get upset about canon, especially canon introduced, non-canon introduced in a magazine that's 30 years old, don't worry about it. All right, so moving into the Star Wars Rebels era, where Hondo made his next canon appearance. And I'm leaving out Star Wars Lego Freemaker Adventures. I know Hondo shows up there, but that's considered non-canon, even though I think the Freemaker Adventures are quite fucking excellent. But anyways, Hondo now shifts into his freelance outlaw and ally of the Rebellion era. Take that, Tay-Tay. So here, again, once the Empire began to rise, the Ohnaka gang was no more. It was disbanded. So Hondo was forced to operate as a solitary smuggler and outlaw of the galaxy. He did a mission on Jeddah where he worked with Doc Ondar of Batuu fame to steal a Kyber crystal statue, and then they clashed with the Guardian of the Wills. So I don't know, maybe Hondo tussled with Chirrut and Baze, or at least some of their compatriots. He also had an encounter with Kira during this era. He was hired to capture the rogue Crimson Dawn lieutenant with IG-88, but IG-88 actually double crosses him, so he lost out there. And this one, like I said, this is why I think Rebels Hondo may be my favorite, and it's his partnership with Ezra Bridger. So Honda steals Vizago's ship, which is known as the Broken Horn, which leads him to cross paths with Ezra Bridger and ultimately the rest of the Spectres who go on to become members of Phoenix Squadron. We know who they are. And as always, he's initially motivated by profit to help Ezra and the gang. But he does become a recurring ally, and he does aid them ultimately in their fight against the Empire after screwing them over a few times. Because, hey, that is the Hondo Ohnaka way of life. That's just how the dude rolls. You know what I mean? So, damn it. I did it again. Wait till Nick hears this. I know this has nothing to do with all of you, but I forgot to record my stem again. Like an idiot. I'm just going to let him know. All right, sorry about that, people. Back to Hondo, our buddy here. If you're just tuning in, we are taking a deep dive into the lore of Hondo Ohnaka, the most infamous space pirate in the galaxy, which is why I do believe he needs to show up in Skeleton Crew, but more on that later. All right, hey, B-Mad, welcome in here, brother. We always appreciate those tips, bro. Donation time. You are the man. B-Mad saying, hey now, Hondo is my girlfriend's fave side character aside from Hera. Smart girlfriend, dude. I do think Hondo is a classic, and that's why it was fun kind of doing this. And hopefully those of you that don't know about much about Hondo, after hearing this, you're gonna be like, you know what? I need to get down with Hondo. Okay, so moving right along. Like I said, he does partner with Ezra and does kind of have a soft spot for him, but he does betray the Spectres at least once. One of the first times, this takes place, he betrays the Spectres and the Lasat refugees, Chava and Gran, to the Empire. If you remember that, you remember Zeb kind of runs into some of his own kind, and shit goes down, and Hondo betrays them. But in true Hondo fashion, he does later help the refugees escape again. That's just how he rolls. I mean, if you think about it, he got his cash, felt bad, did the right thing. So in the end, he kind of ends up coming out looking pretty damn good. He got paid, and he was able to kind of redeem himself, both in the eyes of his own soul, but also through the Spectres. Because he was going to need them. Because at one point in time, he does get imprisoned by the Empire during this era. And guess who rescues him? Well, the Spectres. And they do get something out of him. They get some information on some Y-Wings at Reclam Station. And this is where he kind of escapes and befriends some Ugnaughts you might have seen Hondo hanging out with in the Star Wars Rebel series. Some other things he did during this era, he steals the Agora. So this is a rare creature that then ends up getting him pursued by the Spectres and Imperial forces, but he does ultimately give it to the rebels. He has a mission with Az Morrigan, that big kind of red pig-looking thing, to get some treasure and proton bombs from a crashed Imperial cargo ship. They also team up with the Spectres to do this. And really, like I said, because of how he feels for Ezra, and I think deep down, you gotta remember, this guy was sold into slavery by his mom and dad, so he's a little fucked up. He does try to end this era by rebuilding his reputation and being a good guy, albeit more akin to Lando. So he does help the rebellion and participates in the liberation of Lothal. So he was there for that battle that Ezra ultimately won by vanquishing Thrawn and his fleet using Purgils to Peridia. B-Mad thinks Crash Bandicoot would be a good style game for a Hondo game. Yeah, I could see that. Why not? Now you got that damn music in my head from the original Crash Bandicoot. Picking up his apples. That game was something else, man. The first time it came out. You gotta remember, I'm an old guy. So that was like the first time we were getting decent looking polygon type of characters. Quality stuff. All right, so moving into the next era where Ohnaka kind of makes his name, continues to add to his reputation. And this is what we're going to call Ohnaka Transport Solutions and Beyond era. So think post the Galactic Civil War, we are now moving more into the Mandoverse up into the sequel trilogy. So this is the first time Hondo really tries to get into legitimate business. So he literally creates a company called Ohnaka Transport Solutions that is a shipping company that served as a front for his smuggling operation. So he gets involved with Maz Kanata and Lando on a heist on the Halcyon. Remember the failed hotel? Well, it was based on a ship that was canonized in a book, I believe. So he gets on this mission with Maz and Lando, and he tries to get the treasure of Imperial General Cardan. And like I said, this mission in particular marks the shift for Hondo into him becoming more of a sophisticated scheming smuggler and a desire to establish himself as a professional, albeit still being very scoundrel-like and dishonest. So while he's trying to the rest of the galaxy, put on this front of reform, deep down, he's still a scoundrel. He's still doing shady stuff. He's still smuggling. He's still trying to make as much profit as possible. I mean, if Hondo was here sitting next to me and I were interviewing him, if I said, Hondo, what is your favorite word? Without hesitation, profit. Just go watch an episode with him. I guarantee he mentions it at least 3 times. So after the heist on the Halcyon, we, the First Order starts to kind of rise a little bit. Hondo's still running his transport solutions company, and he's striking deals with both legal and illegal organizations. Again, it's about profit. 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 But his soul, the empathy within him, spending all the time with the rebels and working with the resistance, it's starting to kind of work on him a little bit. So he starts to develop a problem kind of balancing his profit-driven smuggling business with his evolving moral compass and it ties to the resistance. So from here, Hondo heads to Takodana. This is where we met Maz Kanata for the first time in TFA. He gets some ships from hackjackers, and he runs into Solo, Chewie, and Maz, and helps them escape the hackjackers and their captive Nexu. So again, he's always trying to help. He aids the resistance by providing assistance to them. He offers them his ships and resources, supplies, and he really does. I mean, listen, his whole life he's been a little shady and definitely dabbles in the on the other side of the law, but he's, in his heart of hearts, is a good dude. Is a good dude. He has loyalty, all right, loyalty to his friends, and he believed in their cause, and that really would supersede his desire for wealth. So by this era, Mandoverse into the sequel trilogy, he's a little bit closer to Han Solo and Chewbacca. All right, still kind of a shitty guy, still working with, I guess Han and them, they were working with those gangs too. So yeah, he's much more like Lando, Han, and Chewie by the sequel era. And then ultimately, he does end up piloting the Millennium Falcon. I think I believe this isn't a book. I don't know. I know this definitely isn't animation or anything we've seen. But now that he's based on Batuu, which makes sense because, you know, he kind of kicked off Galaxy's Edge. That's his home world now. We'll also talk about his ship on Batuu and why I think that, based on something we've seen in Skeleton Crew, why I think he's going to be in it. But anyways, so he's on Batuu. He makes a deal with Chewie to use the Falcon. He keeps working with Doc Ondor to kind of keep shit on the up and up on Batuu. And he does end up with the Millennium Falcon. And like I said, I haven't read the book. I don't know how long he has it. But he is credited as a pilot of the Falcon, which just kind of adds to his legend. So as we start to kind of wrap up who Hondo is, we've covered his eras, at least the way he's been portrayed so far. Yes, he is an animatronic down at Galaxy's Edge, which I'll mention here down in the behind-the-scenes stuff. But I really do think this dude, and who knows, I don't know if what we're getting here, Mando Pirates saying the next animated Star Wars series is Star Wars Pirates. Now listen, Mando Pirate, we know that there was another animated series in the works, so I think you're on to something. Just not sure if it's going to be Pirates. It would make sense, especially to kind of kick it off after Skeleton Crew, which is going to be all about space pirates. You could kind of either continue that type of thread or add to that type of lore. So, yeah, you never know where Hondo may show up next. Yeah, be mad. His voice actor does not play him in live action. I'll tell you who portrayed him at Galaxy's Edge when they kind of opened it up, but it's not Jim Cummings who is the voice actor. And Mando Pirates saying the Outlaws DLC coming up. We are going to go on a mission with Hondo. That's coming out in February, so I'll probably be checking out that too. I'm starting to get a little over Diablo 4 grinding. I'm like 150 Paragon. Could probably move to Torment 3 or 4. I need to get back and finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I kind of want to check out the latest Dragon Age. I don't know if any of you people have played that yet. Anyone in chat right now? Has anyone played Dragon Age Veilguard or whatever it's called? Let me know. All right, moving on with Hondo. Let's get into his personality and legacy a little bit. So, you know, avarice and ambition. Hondo was driven by greed and a relentless pursuit of profit. I think that was probably made clear. His schemes and alliances were always carefully calculated to maximize his financial gain. So I would not call Hondo a bad person, just a little misguided, and to be expected if your parents sold you into slavery. All right? At least Shmi let a Jedi win her son in gambling. That's better than her selling her son to the Jedi. Obviously he's very skilled at cunning and deception. He possessed a sharp mind and a talent for manipulation. That is for damn sure. He was a master of deception. He was able to outwit both allies and enemies with his cunning plans and silver tongue. He does know how to talk. He is quite the manipulator. But like I said, he did have moments of honor. He was very self-serving, but he displayed this occasional glimpse of honor and loyalty, with I think loyalty being probably his most righteous trait. All right, he was very loyal, especially to Ezra, because he was loyal to his friends, in particular Ezra Bridger. I feel like he helped Ezra a lot, even though he also fucked the Spectres over a few times. And sure, Hondo would put Ezra at risk, but he always seemed to come through for Mr. Bridger. All right, so B-Mad's saying he has not played Dragon Age, but BioWare or whoever has announced Mass Effect 5. So yeah, there we go. I wasn't a huge fan of Andromeda, but we'll see. I think Mass Effect 1 through 3 is one of the best gaming trilogies on the planet. Did not get bummed out about the end of Mass Effect 3. And if you go back and play like the remaster of it, it's amazing what they did. Those 3 games, especially the first game, they look like brand new games. So kick ass. Kick ass. There you go. B-Man. He did. That's right. Hondo said he'd do anything for Ezra, and I believe him. And that's why, like I said, if you've not seen Hondo in the Freemaker adventures, go check those out. I know they're non-canon, they're a little kiddie, but they are fun shows, and they do weave in canon characters that you could almost be like, hey, I kind of want that to be canon, so check it out. But really, what we love the most about Hondo, and why I think he is kind of a favorite character amongst fans, is he's just got this enduring charisma. All right, he's his roguish charm and quick wit really endeared him to many, even after he screwed them over. That's what I mean. The guy was amazing. He could literally get people locked up, but then come back and save them. They're like, it's just that Hondo guy being Hondo. So yeah. Yeah, Bat, you're not wrong. I kind of learned this myself because I didn't know much about Hondo in the sequel trilogy era, but he did. Like I said, he definitely shifted more into like a Han Solo type. Still would do smuggling and that type of shit, but was very compelled to do the right thing and to help those in need, being the resistance. All right, so I'm not going to go through the FAQ. You can check that out on StarWarsTime.net. It's more of a just written summary of what I've gone through, but I do want to check in on some behind the scenes stuff, the real nitty gritty about this character. So his name actually comes from the Japanese film director Ishiro Honda and the actor Seiji Ohnaka, who both worked on the Godzilla franchise. All right, so initially the name was going to be Honda Ohnaka, like the car, Honda Ohnaka. But as Clone Wars writer Henry Gilroy explains here, George came in and said, no, let's change the pirate's first name to Hondo. Hondo. So that's how he got his name. It is actually based in reality. Hondo. He is voiced by Jim Cummings, like I talked about earlier. So Jim voiced Hondo in the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and the non-canon Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures. Dave Filoni, the EP of Rebels, said that Hondo did view Obi-Wan Kenobi as a friend. So like I said, even though he was screwing him around, he he loved the Jedi. He appreciated Jedi, Kenobi in particular. Filoni also said that he feels like Hondo missed the Jedi Order because of the excitement they brought to his life. So as I said earlier, he enjoyed messing with them, but also working with them if it served his end goal of profits. So Hondo, these days, we can find him in Galaxy's Edge theme parks. He is an animatronic in the Smuggler's Run attraction. Hondo is voiced by Jim Cummings, but he is played by Robert Nairn in Galaxy's Edge. Hondo led the dedication ceremony for the Disney World version of Galaxy's Edge on August 28th. So when they opened it, he was the dude. All right, so, and he also showed up as a playable character in my now defunct daily nightmare of a free-to-play game, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So he showed up there in 2023, and actually was a pretty damn good tune to use. So yeah, that's my boy. There you go. Hopefully Dave Chavez is here or listening. You ask and you shall receive. I do kind of like these character deep dives. They're not too difficult to do. So if this is something you all listening live kind of enjoyed, let me know. Send some comments. Leave some comments on the video. Screw sending a live chat. Leave me some comments. Let me know. Did you like this deep dive? Should we keep doing them every so often? Maybe do, one a show. With AI, they're not that hard to produce. So I'm definitely down to do more. I found Hondo was going to be perfect this week because of the angle I'm taking in the Skeleton Crew trailer breakdown. So that's why I went with him first. If you need to catch this and you don't feel like listening to my happy ass recap it, you can find the full breakdown on StarWarsTime.net. We've got a podcast kind of recapping who Hondo is, and then we've got the all the written words and shit for you all to check out. All right, so getting some instant feedback. Bat saying it felt like story time with Matt. That's good. At least I didn't sound like an asshole. Bat did enjoy it. Ben saying I should use Nick's voice as AI. Yeah, I can't tweak their voices. It would be nice if I could train it on our voices and have them do that, but I'm not going to complain considering Notebook LM is free through Google, so it's definitely making this stuff way more efficient for me and will open me up to doing more. But I definitely know what you're saying there, Ben. It would be cool to have Nick and I kind of do the podcast. But check it out. If you just tuned in, I explained earlier how I made this. I essentially fed the entire wiki into Notebook LM, queried it to kind of get the bullet point information I just read, and then this AI has a built-in podcast feature where you can take your source and have two AI-generated podcast hosts talk about it. And you'd have to tell me, I mean, the video's on StarWarsTime.net. It's also on our YouTube channel. But it sounds pretty fucking natural. All right, we've already made it to the point where AI no longer sounds like, "Hi, my name is Matt, and I like to talk about Star Wars characters like Hondo Ohnaka." They even were pronouncing Hondo's name appropriately. I think the one thing that they fucked up that sounded odd is they didn't call them Y wings; they called them like Yee wings, or it was like a yeet wing. But either way, kind of neat. So I'll keep it up. All right, well, I guess what I'll do now, we'll go ahead and switch over into a bit of our fan involvement to Ask Us Anything, right? Why not? We typically kick it off at the beginning of the show when Nick is here, but I kind of like him answering questions. So these few shows where he's coming in late, we're doing a little switcheroo, but at this point in time, I gotta go. I got nothing else to talk about before Skeleton Crew, and I'd really like my man to be here for that. So, excuse me. Yeah, that's the one thing about this type of stuff, people. When I'm doing all this talking, there's going to be a lot of gas produced. Can't help it. If you listen to Howard, it's very similar to him. I'll just start going, and a huge belch comes up, and we're off to the races. Howard was great this week. The psychopath test excellent bit. Excellent bit. I feel like Nick and I should take the psychopath test at some point in time. All right, let's get into some of these questions, see if Nick shows up here in the next 9 minutes or so. All right. Now, Mando Pirate coming in. Who's your celebrity crush? Whew, that's a good one. Yeah, B-Mad, this is pretty much how I lecture. I don't really use notes. What you saw me doing, I would like briefly scan the bullets and then just kind of talk. I've been doing it for almost 15 years, so I've kind of developed, I don't want to say a skill, but I've gotten better at just sitting here and expelling hot air nonstop without a lot of like, right type of stuff. In fact, when I hear myself say right, I kind of want to punch myself in the balls. I can't stand that. I don't know why validating what you just said with right has become such a big thing. Can anyone tell me? But doesn't it feel like within the last 2 or 3 years, people telling you a point and then saying right after it as if you're stupid and can't understand it is kind of a new thing? You know, so it'd be like this, like, hey, B-Mad, we both like Star Wars, right? It's like, why do you do that? Or, hey, B-Mad, 1 + 1 is 2, right? Right. See, I almost fucking Tourette's out on it once I start saying it. I can't stand it. Well, thank you, B-Mad. I appreciate that. I guess I should get into sales. But here's the funny thing. And I listen, I am fine presenting in front of people live, presenting in front of cameras and online and talking on the radio. But if you were like, hey, go sell this guy a car, I wonder how I would handle that. There's little introvert Matt is still in here. And there's sometimes I don't know if I've told these stories to you all or my students, but young Matt, if he saw this guy, the dude that screams at clouds, the old version, he'd be like, what the fuck? How did you end up there? Because you never wanted to be heard. You never wanted to be called on. You didn't want to talk publicly. It would give you intense diarrhea. But here we are. I actually do credit my kind of coming out of that, I'm just going to sit here and never say anything personality to working in the corporate world as a young man and being on staff with a bunch of 40, 50, 60-year-old men and kind of getting ran over because I wouldn't say anything. And then I learned, like, you know what? If I'm ever going to do anything in life, it's time to fucking pipe up, homie. You're not an idiot. You've got decent ideas. You can't just sit there and be quiet. I'd be a lot better selling tech software. All right, maybe one day. You never know. All right, back to Mando Pirate's question. Thank you, B-Man. I do appreciate the live streamers when I'm by myself, kind of giving me something to talk to. I don't know how well this stuff plays out on the audio-only version because they can't see the questions. That's why I typically try to enunciate them. But anyways, back Mando Pirate's asking me, who's your celebrity crush? It's definitely changed over my life. Early on, would have been girls on Full House. One that really captivated me as, middle school through high school is Jennifer Love Hewitt. I love that girl. Party of Five was one of my favorite shows of all time. I loved her in that. Followed her over into the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies. I know she did a movie with Sigourney Weaver. I mean, I was a super fan. I was going to anything Jennifer Love Hewitt did. I didn't really watch her TV career resurgence where I think she was like a ghost whisperer or something like that. It might have been called Ghost Whisperer. But I loved her. I found Jennifer Love Hewitt to be the most beautiful woman of the 90s and early aughts. I'd say after Hewitt, kind of moving into my later 20s, 30s, it might have crossed over into some fitness model stuff when I was really into that hard body. So WWE or stuff like Trish Stratus, Stacy Keibler. Ooh, Stacy Keibler and those legs. God damn it, I sound like a dog right now. And now in my older age, and this is a terrible saying, and I never quite understood it as a young man, but I 100% understand it now. But if you ever hear a man say, well, we keep getting older, but they stay the same age, just know what they're talking about. That's the females that they're attracted to. But I will say that I have found that as the older I get, the more I am appreciating older women. Okay. I think Sofia Vergara is fucking banging. Heidi Klum at her age, amazing. Like, that shit turns me on. Mando Pirate with Dua Lipa, yeah, 100%. But I think if I'm going just straight crush in my old age these days, man, I guess that's just how old I am. It's just not something I've really dedicated any power to. Maybe I'm losing some sauce down there in the sack, but gun the head right now, there is not a female I go to in the bank, if you know what I'm talking about, to get to kind of bring some joy to my life. How's that? Yeah, League, I know what you mean. It's like there's too many to name. There's just a lot of beautiful women out there right now. I agree. I think Dua is amazing. There's too many. Actually, I'm just going to stop talking about this. Be Mad saying, anyone else still think Cher is beautiful? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like some of these women are just aging very gracefully and give me hope in life in my old age. Yeah, Daisy Ridley, that's a good one there from Mando Pirate. The British accent can kind of add some sexiness to a female's voice, no doubt about it. So, I mean, really, to answer you, Mando, I think I got to go Jennifer Love Hewitt. That is one I 100% crushed out on. I can't really think of another as I grew up and actually got a wife and that type of stuff. All right. Next question here, coming from BMAD, who goes by Beast Mobile 96 up on the tube. Is your cat? Oh, it looks like you subscribers, those of you that have elected to send over a monthly allowance to the Star Wars Time Show dudes. It looks like your cats might have upgraded. We might be at the next month where your little special Vader emoji cats have metamorphosized into their next version. So we appreciate you, Beast. All the rest of you in here, I see you. League, Bat, with your little icons. Hey, if anyone's listening, we'd love some more members. We just had to pay the bills and still can't quite cover all the costs to run this show throughout a year. So if there's anyone out there that's been on the fence, like, hey, think about it. $1.99 a month. I do it with Beyond the Dune Sea and Will of the Force. It's really nothing, but not begging. Just saying, if you have it in your heart to throw this old guy a few bucks a month for the efforts he puts in to provide a little bit of entertainment, we'd appreciate you considering becoming a member. $1.99, $4.99, or $99. $9.99. It's up to you. But my man Beast is asking, is your cats, I have two, a Sith or a Jedi? It's a good question. I have COVID cats. They just kind of showed up in my yard during COVID, so I think some scumbags just dumped them out, because we actually have a pretty feral cat population around my neighborhood, and they don't fuck with people. These two dopey idiots essentially walked right up to our deck and were like, hey, this looks like something we used to live in. Will you let us in? So that's the story of Stripes and Leia. I honestly, even though Leia, my girl cat, I love her. She's a little chunky. She seems like she's not operating on all cylinders upstairs, if you know what I mean. So she seems kind of simple and basic, which you would think means nice. But I honestly think Leia would probably tilt more Sith than Stripes. Because I've seen Leia, like when she's done with him or doesn't want to play anymore, she will hiss at his ass. She's hissed at him when he's trying to take a shit. She's whacked him when he's in the box. So Leia the cat, Sith, Stripes the cat. I'm going to go Jedi, but more in line with Anakin Skywalker, because he's he likes to fuck around and find out sometimes, if you know what I mean. Be mad. So there you go. All right, next question. This is coming from Rippick Tan over on Instagram. Is Hondo safe? Is he all right? Yes, he is safe and he is all right. He is on Batu, still running his transport system front to smuggle shit for the resistance. And then Rippick Tan follows that up with, seriously though, he wasn't in that trailer, was he? I don't know. He wasn't as himself, but we're going to look at a ship that makes me believe that he might be. And I'll get into this more once we start breaking down the trailer here, which at this point, it's 6 o'clock. Who knows where the hell young Nick is at, so we're going to keep doing what we're doing here. It's the Matt Time Show. Look at my happy ass. Yay! So yeah, Rippick, not in the trailer, but his ship was. In fact, let's just go look at it right now. I had it pulled up on Twitter. I'll never call it X because the guy's a fucking idiot. But here we go. If you're on the stream here, you should be able to see a blurry image. Hold on. Sorry, stream. Let me bring it up. There you go. So if we're on the stream, this is from the new Skeleton trailer. We get a wide shot of what looks like this kind of platform city, or a city in space. It's very reminiscent of that. I forget the name of the planet, which is pissing me off, but where we see Cassie and Andor go to kick off Rogue One. It seems like a planet or a station or a moon base like that. And it seems like a lot of shady motherfuckers hang out here. But if you're on the stream and you're looking at the screen and you see my mouse moving around this one ship that's kind of centered, that's Hondo's ship, okay? That is the ship that Hondo has at Batu. I forget the name of it, but that is definitely it. I mean, it's got the exact shape, the exact style. In fact, let's just pull it up live. This is how great we are here at the Star Wars Time Show. We'll pull up his ship live just so we can see it there. There it is. It's called the Katuni. So if you're on stream, hold on, everyone. He's coming. Give me 1 second here. Let's pull him up, see if he's coming in here. He's coming in hot. There he is, looking beautiful as always. Let's bring him up on screen. Young Nick has entered the building. Perfect time, actually, young Nick. We're going through some of the Ask Us Anything. Almost time to get into our breakdown of the Skeleton Crew trailer. I went ahead and did the deep dive on Hondo for everyone, so now they know who this space pirate is and why I think he should be in Skeleton Crew. And currently, we're actually looking at... I think I just hung up on Nick. Hold on. Let's get him back. You gotta love this show. Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show, everybody. Oh my God. Hey, he's back. Now you're gonna have to clear your camera again. I fucked that up. That was my fault. I forgot Skype is the only fucking application on a Mac that if you hit the X, it actually closes it instead of just minimizing the window. So we are not upset at you, Nick. We did not kick you out after you just got here. I'm just an idiot. All right. So anyways, what we're looking at right now as we're going through our Ask Us Anything, and Rippick was saying, hey, was Hondo in the trailer? No, he wasn't in the trailer, but I did show them a shot of a ship that looks eerily identical to Hondo's Katuni ship that he has on Batu. So I pulled that up for him just so they could kind of see. So that's where we're at. We still got a few questions to go while you're here. Perfect timing to have you show up. So let's bring those screens back up for everyone as I was showing them Hondo's ship. So there you go, Rippick. He did not show up in the trailer, but I 100% believe that's his ship, which means hopefully he shows up in the show. And if he doesn't, it's another fail by fucking Filoni and the creatives at Lucasfilm. So I guess we should just be prepared for him not to show up. All right, here's a question just in time for Mr. Streaming Budget. This is coming from Bango, who is having himself a fucking day. If you didn't feel good after last night, go read Bango's stories on Instagram, and he might make you feel a little better if you're into that type of stuff after you kind of had the rug ripped out from under you. So if you kind of like to commiserate on shit, go check out Bango31 on Instagram. He's kind of taken a flamethrower to what went down here in the States on the 5th. But anyways, Nick, Bango wants to know, given the budgets of some streaming shows and the decline in big tent movie releases, do you think we'll see something like pay-per-view for streaming series in the future? Like you pay $5 a month for access to the library, but the new season is $20 to watch. Might that be a way for studios to recoup their investment? And if something like that becomes the model, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean,
so you're essentially like old school pay-per-view, which doesn't really exist anymore, right? I mean, we don't pay-per-view wrestling. They were called wrestling pay-per-views.
I mean, it exists with like boxing matches and UFC fights still. But in general, I think that it's a bad idea. Like, just to be completely honest with you, I think that charging somebody for because that's what I mean. Like, it's inarguable that it's been bad for UFC if you look at their ESPN numbers. And I mean, like, it's not going to be perfect because the sport's just gotten a little bit more popular. But if you look at their pre-ESPN numbers and their post-ESPN numbers, you can see that there really has, like, it hurt them to have a library access, which is essentially you have to pay for ESPN Plus, and then you also have to pay for the pay-per-view when it happens. It's just it doesn't benefit them. And Disney actually tried that already. Like they did that with like movie releases. So they would do like for example, when live action Mulan first came out, it went to theaters, but then it also released on Disney Plus at the same time, and they would charge you whatever, $10 to watch it.
And you didn't get to keep it.
And you did not get to keep it. It was essentially just a watch. Like you were paying for the service, and then you were also paying to essentially rent this new movie that came out. I don't think that they'll do that.
So it failed. Again. So yeah, we're I honestly, Bango, I saved this from last week because I thought this was end up into a deep talk on this shit. But Nick's right. I mean, this has already been tried, and I think consumers rejected it pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like you're already asking for people to pay for your service, and then you're saying like, hey, within this service, we're going to make you pay for more shit. And it's different than like Amazon Prime or something where you can buy the film and then you own it, even if it's taken off of the service.
Nick, didn't we learn that technically no one owns digital content? You're just you're technically licensing it.
Yeah, so I mean, technically anything that you buy online is a DRM purchase that could be revoked when that license is revoked from the service.
And I'm like a big anti-physical media guy, but it almost feels like we need to go back to physical media if you actually want to own something these days.
Yeah, I mean, if you still have your physical media players, that's definitely the only way that you can own something. That is for sure.
Because you're right. I mean, at any point in time, Disney can be like, hey, you know what? I don't feel like displaying the Star Wars movies anymore on streaming platforms. So
I mean, they 100% can do that.
They'd be like, all right, fuck you. And I'd be like, shit.
Excuse me. They 100% can.
All right. Well, there you go, Bango.
Yeah, so I don't think that they'll do that just because they've already done it. And, I think that they did it during COVID specifically because people weren't going to the theaters as much.
Yeah, Nick, you were right. It was, I think, Mulan, and then the Black Widow did it too. That was at least, it was a few movies they were doing it. And I believe you only got it for 24 hours for $30.
Yeah, it was a true rental. Like it was like you rented the movie from like Amazon Prime or whatever other service.
Right. Well, like B-Mad's saying, that means pirating isn't stealing if you never owned it. So
yeah, that's what people's responses were when like I think it was like I can't remember which service first came out and said that. I think it might have been like Steam or something like that. Steam's like, well, technically you don't own any of this. Like you paid us a licensing fee for it and you have it for as long as we have it.
Got
but
ya.
yeah. So
yeah, I mean, were you old enough for the good old P2P days like Kazaa and LimeWire?
I mean, like I had Napster when it first came out. Yeah.
Kazaa was some shit, man. I mean, you could pull down full movies that people recorded on their phones.
Yeah.
That's the days, the early aughts of the internet before social media came in and absolutely fucking destroyed the universe and the internet. But oh well, I digress. Yeah. All right, next question. I think we got Scion XTC. I like this one. Short and to the point. Are aliens real?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, listen. I gotta believe in science, even though we as a country may not in a few more years. But if you listen to someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about just the math, it's hard to think that we are the only living organisms in a galaxy that is essentially infinitely large. It's the math it's just too strong to suggest that we are a freak accident and this hasn't happened anywhere else in the entire universe. I mean, our brains aren't even capable of thinking how big the universe is. So I do think there has to be other things out there. Does that mean they're ever going to come here? Probably not, because they're probably just like us going, what the fuck is going on? Is there anything out there? Is life real? Am I in the Matrix? So
I mean, based off of the information that the government's put out showing unidentified, like they call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenons. So whatever, like believe whatever you want, but like the videos that came out from the US military showing unidentified flying objects that are caught by fighter pilots and flying faster than like the speed of, like that the speed of those crafts could go, like our crafts could go, and then like disappearing. It's there's
see I that too I question, because listen, if you have that type of technology and you make it to another planet that's inhabited, you're telling me you're just going to zip around and bounce out? You're not going to come here and try to dominate or steal or do something? You're just
I guess not all races are as pieces of shit as humans are.
Oh.
So
well, that is true. Maybe this planet out there, they didn't develop religion and they just use science their entire existence. Wasn't this kind of a bit of three body problems?
I mean, three body problem is
where you had that civilization that
idea.
essentially would just keep resetting itself until they got a signal to us, and that gave them the motivation to build a fleet and come to us with the intention to dominate. So
so I mean, I mean, there are aliens out there. Will we ever make contact with them? Who knows? They probably like look at us and be like, these people are still people. Like they haven't even figured out how to take care of their own fucking bodies yet. So what do we have to do or learn from them?
That's the Star Trek spin. I guess I'd be more Star Wars, where I'm just, I'm waiting for Imperial forces to show up and be like, oh, you fucking idiots don't even know how to get to celestial bodies within hours. It takes you years. So die, become my loyal subjects. All right. So yeah, aliens are real. Fuck it. I wish they would show up today. Question for Nick. Thoughts on Dennis Allen being fired, and who do you think, or who do you want the next head coach to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in New Orleans is happy that dude got fired, even the players.
Dude, they weren't even walking back to the locker room this Sunday. Like the one guy was trying to leave the stadium in his pads.
Yeah, I mean, good on him for trying to do that. But I mean, it's good that he got fired. As to who we're going to get as our next head coach, it's so hard to tell because nobody wants to come to this team anymore. Like,
is the ownership shitty? Do you just have a bad cap? Like, why?
I mean, our salary cap's fucked.
Okay.
Like, our salary cap is one of the worst in the league.
Who did they tie it up in? Derek and Kamara?
I mean, Carr is like $150 million contract.
Yeah.
I think that like there was still like contracts for players that we had let go that's on there and all that kind of shit. So
I like my boy Michael Thomas, like live tweeting shit talk. He's like, Derek Carr is a piece of shit. He's trying to kill Grizzle.
I mean, Look,
I guess you're right, man. Who the fuck wants to go there when former players are shit talking real players during games? And he was actually going around like, I think the New Orleans Stadium going like, hey, Derek Carr's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. Like the team is not in a good spot, so they're probably not going to be good for the next 3 years.
You got some capital for Lattimore, though.
I mean, we got like we got a third, a fourth, and a sixth, which I mean, basically is like, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to see us hire the offensive coordinator from the Lions, but I don't think
I knew you were going there.
But also, like, we just hired Clint Kubiak from fucking San Francisco, so like, we just hired this dude to be our offensive coordinator, so maybe we hire a defensive-minded head coach. I have no fucking clue, but yeah, I don't know. The Saints are just going to be bad for a while.
Yeah.
We don't have any cap space. We have shitty draft picks, unless we just start to dump our entire team and get draft picks out of it. So,
well, trade deadline's up, so you're stuck with what you got now. I was surprised the Steelers made some moves yesterday too. So we'll see. Listen, I was down on the Russ decision, but so far he's made me look stupid, and I'm okay with that. I still think Mike Tomlin is the most overrated coach in NFL history, but fuck him. All right, I think that takes us through Ask Us Anything, so we can jump right into our breakdown, deep dive analysis of the new Skeleton Crew trailer, which, quite frankly, Nick, I didn't think we were going to get another full trailer. I don't know if this is Disney kind of reading the tea leaves and going like, oh shit, we can really tell people are starting to lose interest in all of our properties. Let's remind them that something's coming up at the end of 2024, and that is Skeleton Crew, which stars a bunch of kids and not Jedi, and is probably going to piss off the usual angry fans and all that fun stuff. But we did get one. I thought it was a pretty good trailer. I definitely... dug all the new footage. I liked that they used was that Major Tom, the song? Was it Major Tom? Maybe.
I can't remember, honestly.
But I think we can start to formulate more of what may be going on here. There was a mention of I do want to clarify, or at least get Nick's thoughts on this, but when they talk about you've got Old Republic credits, they're actually talking about
probably Grand Republic credits, like the credits.
All right,
from
let's wait until we see this
trilogy. Maybe
let's wait till we see the image, because it actually has the Imperial sigil on it. So, but why are they calling that the Republic? I don't know. Maybe it was right before it fell to the Empire. But either way, I think the Goonies in space feel is stronger than ever after this new trailer. Even with the music, I mean, it's just straight up now fucking pirates and treasure. It is exactly what they've been telling us what this show is going to be about. But like I said, I picked up on some things that warrant a discussion and some speculation. We already did the Hondo guess, because we see his ship, or what looks very much like his ship, in the yard there. But there's some other things that I stumbled upon myself that I don't know if anyone knows yet, and I guess I'll just start with it. But Nick, I pulled up the cast on Google here, because I was trying to figure out who's the lady in blue talking to the black guy. They weren't familiar to me. I learned she's Carrie Condon. The black guy is Tunde Adembimbe. And as I'm reading the cast list, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Jude, there's Jaleel, there's all the kids. And then I see this Haley Webb, Jedi Nina Nawood. And I'm like, what? Okay, so are we going to get potential flashbacks for Jude Law's Jadna Nawood? Are these two a married Jedi couple? Are they married in the present? Was this something from the past? Are they disillusioned? But this girl, Haley Webb, some of you might, if you can see her on the live stream, she might look familiar. She's been in a few movies. But she is playing a character who has not showed up in the trailer, at least to my knowledge, called Jedi Nina, Ninaa Nawood. And we got Jude Law playing Jadna Nawood. So they're either brother-sister or they're a thing. So Nick, what say you? What do you think here?
I would probably say that they're related, considering that, I mean, look, it's a different time period in the galaxy and stuff like that, but I still feel like they're like Jedi marriage wasn't just okayed yet, you know?
Right.
So I would imagine that it might be like a brother-sister Force duo, which makes sense. I mean, usually, like your Force bloodline runs through a family, which is why you see like Leia and Luke are both Force sensitive coming from Anakin and all that stuff. So tending to lean in that direction.
Yeah. You know what? I tend to agree with you. I think it's more of a sibling. I guess I wonder, have they become disenfranchised? Because, I mean, really, in this trailer, once we start going through some of the screenshots, Jadna, I don't think he's on the up and up at this point in his Jedi life, his Force user life. I mean, we find him on this planet. He looks kind of shady. You can see that there's wheels turning at all times as he's offering to help the kids. So I wonder if he maybe broke bad a little bit, or after the fall, maybe he kind of went one way and his sister went the other. Maybe we'll see that in a flashback, or maybe it will be a present timeline reunion where she's like, "You dumb fuck little kids aligned yourself with this asshole. Good luck."
Yeah, I would probably venture a guess and say that there's a bit of a contentious relationship there.
Okay.
Given the fact that she is still wearing the Jedi moniker and he isn't, at least from the casting says.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. I mean, who knows who entered this information, but Nick is right. If you pull this up online, the cast, Jude Law is just Jadna Nawood, where Haley is Jedi Nina Nawood.
Yeah, I will say that it's interesting that she is listed on Google, but she's not listed on IMDb.
Yeah.
Like anywhere, it's not on her IMDb, and she's not on the show's IMDb. And look, like that's all, like this is all like crowdsourced anyway, I believe, or you'll have like your agents or something like that go in and add you to the appropriate shows.
Just in case anyone knows, all talent manages their own IMDb, either themselves or, like Nick said, through their management. This is not a professionally curated site. They go in, put their credits and all that shit.
Yeah. But if I had to venture a guess, I would probably say that, this girl is a part of, or trying to hold down the, like being a Jedi through everything that's happened post Order 66 after the rise and fall of the Empire and stuff like that. But obviously that can be difficult. But yeah, I would say that they're probably siblings, and not like married.
I tend to agree, and I'm with you too. I think they're going to have some beef between them that hopefully is resolved in time through talking and discourse, like all things. Okay, so let's get into this trailer right now. I got to pull up. This is where AI is really starting to help me out these days. Instead of me having to listen to it and write down the dialogue, I just said, "Hey, motherfucker, give me a transcript of this thing." Nailed it. Got all the lines, all the good stuff. So I will do my best, my friends. But if you've never been here before, this is how we do our trailer deep dives. We just start with our stills right from the beginning of the trailer and rip through them. So, Nick, it seems to me, when the trailer kicks off, right, we get the two kids. They seem to be in some form of detention center. I don't know if this is at a school in their town, but you can tell they did something that landed them in hot water with the adults. All right, we get the dialogue. What are you in for? What are you in for? All right, so you can tell, and this is Fern and Wim. And I think with this scene, at least set up for me, Nick, and we were kind of kicking this tire last time when we broke down the first trailer. I don't think the boys and the girls were our friends going into the show. I think this show and the discovery they make is what's going to make them all bond. I think we got Wim and Neil. Yeah, they're buddies. And then KB and Firm, they're buddies. But I think through this interaction where they're both in trouble at the same time, and then he ultimately says, "Hey, I found something buried in the woods." I think that's when the girls and the boys ultimately become this group of friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of the way that things are moving, is that they'll like come together, or like they meet each other because they got in trouble.
Yeah.
It seems like, right?
Yeah.
Like they got in some sort of trouble, and then whatever they had to do, whether it was like community service, like, oh, you have to go clean up the whatever, like clean up the park or something like that. They stumble across this ship, and that's what kind of rockets them off into their adventure.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing. I actually think Wim finding the ship is what leads him in trouble, because if we look at his face in this next still, it's dirty. And we see in the trailer coming up in a few slides, he tumbles down a hill, he gets all dirty, and that's how he finds the door. So I actually think he gets himself in trouble by maybe skipping school and going out to the woods. She gets in trouble through what looks like being a hot rod racer throughout town on her way to school. And this is where they link up, and he kind of hints at like, hey, I found something. You guys want to come check it out? I think that might be the sequence, considering he already looks a little dirty and disheveled in this detention center. So, like they're, as Nick said, they're kind of sitting there trading their stories for like what new inmates would say to each other. Hey, what'd you do? Oh, I fucking killed 50 people. Hey, what'd you do? Well, I tax evasion, something like that. So, he says, hey, I found something in the woods. And then we hear him say, Dad? All right, here he is looking all dirty. So like I said, I do think he finds the ship before he gets sent to detention. It's definitely buried deep underneath the environment. And then Dad walks in. Dad's none too pleased, right? This is unacceptable. Do you understand? Okay, so clearly they're in trouble. And I'm speculating that's because Homeboy either skipped school to go fuck around outside, something like that. And then, like I said, the girls, as it was teased in the trailer, it looks like Fern is just out there speeding through tunnels, speeding through town, causing trouble, getting herself busted. All right, so the dad's in there. Looks like the kids are in deep shit. Wim very well is going to get possibly grounded at this point in time, right? Yeah,
looks like it.
And then
you just jump right in.
Yeah, and then we're right at it. So like I said, I do believe Fern and Wim, through their acquaintance in the detention center, this is how the two groups come together to go investigate what Wim found. The girls even brought a shovel. So it's Wim, Neil, KB, Fern. They're all ready to go rock. They're ready to go on this adventure to see what the hell Wim is talking about. And sure enough, they find it. They ask, what do you think it is? Don't touch anything. And Nick, I don't know if this stood out to you, but in the trailer, both Wim and then Fern put their ear up to the hatch as if they can hear something coming from it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
So, do you think it's SM-33? Is the ship kind of coming back to life, or what do you think they hear that's going to compel them to now open a hatch for something they found and they have no clue what it is?
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably the droid, because it looks like once they enter the ship that the ship itself is pretty powered down, and then he hits the button, turns everything on. So it might have just been like the droid itself shifting around, and they like heard something. But I guess the other question is like, how did they get the hatch open? Because typically, spaceship hatches to open from the outside aren't that easy.
Yeah, it's not a design you would build, right? Hey, you can open the hatch from the outside easily, because that'd be a great way to just kill people. You're in space, you land on their hull, you push the button, see you later. They're depressurized.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, could it be, Nick, if it is SM-33, who is I think he looks awesome. We got some great shots of him in this trailer. But could he be sending a signal, and then when he hears meatbags show up, maybe he releases it? Or do you think they're going to find a secret button?
I think that it makes the most sense for the droid to be the one that opens it, since he's on the inside. Yeah. And he probably, we don't know how long the ship has been crashed here. Like you said, later in the trailer, it looks like they have some Imperial credits that they stumbled across on the ship. So I would imagine.
You know what? I think you're right now. Because listen, I mean, I don't even think if this thing crash landed at the dawn of the Empire, it would have been this taken over by the environment. Because that would only be, 20, maybe 30, 33 years? I guess maybe it could.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. But yeah, it's hard to tell. So I would assume that it's sometime in like the late Grand Republic, early Imperial time that this thing crashed.
Okay.
I mean, if we're seeing like you said, you could see the money. It looks like it's an Imperial crest on one of those credits, even though the crest itself looks a little different than the.
I mean, he literally calls it an Old Republic credit. So to us, us idiots that don't live in Star Wars, we live on the Earth. To us, the Old Republic that's way back when, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's like tens of thousands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that. I think he's just a little kid, so he's just saying like, "Oh, the Old Republic," because now it's the New Republic. Like now
the chef is the one that says, "Where'd you two find an Old Republic credit?" We're not there yet, so we'll get there. And really get
I still don't think it means Old Republic.
Right. Gotcha.
It could be wrong though.
But the door does open, and it does feel like at least this shot where we see the back of Wim and the back of KB. They're looking at it. So Nick, it does lead me to believe like you're thinking that the hatch was open from the inside, and then of course they enter. I mean, look at it. Even inside, they got the root systems. I mean, this thing has been decommissioned for a long, long time. I do think it may be even longer than 30 years. But they're in there, they're saying, don't touch anything. Wim, and right there, of course, Wim playing pilot. He's got his headset on. He sees a green button, and as most boys would do, he's going to push that fucking green button. And it seems almost immediately when he hits that button, the ship is programmed to take off and head to whatever destination was last used in the Navi computer, right? Because they don't know how to fly.
Yeah, it's definitely on autopilot, or it's on something that this droid, like some navigation coordinates this droid put in before he opened the door, before the droid opened the door for him.
I mean, we've heard it before, hey, just use the last known coordinates in the Navi computer. So I mean that is a thing. But once this button was pressed, we're out of here. So I think SM-33, even if he's decommissioned, there could be some of his programming following these routines, executing what he was programmed to do. When that button's pushed, we're taking off and we're headed back to our last known location. So there they go. The kids take off. I mean, it's a unique ship. It's kind of like what are they called, Nick? The Harriers that we have, the jets that can kind of take off vertically.
Yeah, like the I think it's the F-35. Yeah, but it could be one of it's one of the fighter jets that we have that has vertical takeoff and landing.
And this thing looks very similar, but if you look at the ass of it, it also kind of feels like a U-wing a little bit.
I was going to say it looks like a U-wing from the back.
But
so I wonder if it's like a modified. I mean, like what makes the most sense to me, given one, it's like the story of the show, and two, how this ship is designed. It's probably like a fucking, I mean, to use a term that most toy photographers would know, it's probably a kit bash. It's probably like it's probably a heavily modified pirate craft from back in those days, if I had to take a guess.
Oh, it does feel like it's specially designed to do some shit. Like it was built for purpose.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's probably not like a standard design. It's probably an old pirate ship. And one of the ways that they probably get themselves mixed up with pirates is, they're going through hyperspace, or they're heading to a location that they're unfamiliar with, which may be associated with piracy in the past. And somebody catches the VIN number on the vehicle, catches the chain code or whatever. And they're like, man, this used to be this old pirate ship. What the fuck is it doing out here? Or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty Yeah, it's
so
pretty interesting.
The kids are off. This starts the journey, and I'm predicting we're going to get this probably within the first episode. We now know it's confirmed. We are getting a 2-episode premiere on 12/3, which is nice, which means we're going to get halfway through the season before we hit the Christmas break. And I've made my decision. We're not doing fucking shows, okay?
No, we're not.
It's I know it's much easier for young Nick to come to that conclusion. I'm glad I learned about this months in advance so I could get myself ready. But I'm committed to not doing. I'm not watching the show on Christmas Eve and then breaking the shit down on Christmas Day. Same thing, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. In the end, only my mental illness makes me do that. I know no one gives a fuck if we're here or not. I mean, the 10 of you might, but you understand it's the goddamn holidays and we all should be hanging out, enjoying the last few weeks of normal democracy. So they're off. And I do think we get a lot of what we just looked at here in this trailer in the first 2 episodes, at least them forming their bond and heading off on the adventure. I do believe we're going to be at that space station location in episode 2 where they run into Jadnana Wood. All right, so they take off. Poor dad sees them leave, so he knows they're fucked. He knows they're gone, and it's going to be hard to get them back. So, like we said, Wim pushes the button. He's up. They're out. They hit hyperspace. They have no clue where they're going, and it does feel like this ship. There we go. We got SM and Neil in the pilot seat, so we could assume that SM-33 at this point is piloting for them. Do you think he's awake when he hits the button? Or does he come alive after Wim initiates the sequence?
I mean, if we're assuming that
we think he
opened the door, then he's probably awake. Right. But yeah, it's like how this droid is functioning is going to be very interesting to see, like in the first episode. Like, has it been dormant? And then if it was dormant, what woke it up? Like, did Wim basically falling on this ship and making a loud bang, like wake this droid up? Or is there something else a little bit more sinister going on there? Who knows? But if we're to assume that the droid opened the door from the inside, then he's probably awake when they took off.
All right, so yeah, they're en route to this. I mean, it literally looks like a seedy, shady haven built into an asteroid based on this shot. I mean, you got all these ships. I love how they have them docked out. They're on like these tow lines just kind of floating out from the entrance. They're clearly headed here. I wonder, do you think once they're flying and they made the jump, is SM the one going, no, we're going to go here to find help? Or is this the ship still kind of programmed to come here, Nick?
Yeah, I think that this is probably autopiloted still, for sure. Like, this thing is just heading to the last known destination that was in its coordinates or something else like that. And these kids, like, they don't know what they're doing. Like you said, they don't know how to fly. They're just like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. This shot, though, did very much remind me of the Pirates Cove or whatever it was in Pirates of the Caribbean 3, where all the pirate ships would come and like they would sort out like what they were going to do, and then just kind of moor all your ships, have a meeting on dry land, then head back out and pillage and rape and all that stuff that pirates do. But it does seem like this asteroid, this haven of the deceitful, is going to be their first stop on their tour of the galaxy and en route to trying to find their way home. The wide shot here, I think that maybe Nick was talking about. Remember, if you look right in the middle, you got this big... It almost looks like a space station.
Yeah, it's got like a saucer and a long prong coming down, and then another tiny saucer. If you look at the ship right there towards the bottom of that, that's the ship that I believe is Hondo's. I mean, it looks just like the Katooni or the Klatooni, whatever it's called, the one he uses on Batuu. And this definitely seems like a place that Hondo would operate. Remember, at this point in time, as we discussed in our deep dive of Mr. Ohnaka, at this point in time, Hondo is running Ohnaka Transport Systems, which is a legitimate business that's a front for his new smuggling operation. And Nick, this place just screams scoundrels and smugglers and ne'er-do-wells. So having Hondo's ship here, even if we don't see him at this point in time, makes sense to me, but I'm holding out hope that he does make his live action debut in this series, because why the fuck would we not do that? Why would we not bring in the most famous Star Wars space pirate, kind of the one that kicked off the whole idea of space pirates? Why do we not canonize him in live action in a show about space pirates?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. It would be weird if he wasn't in it.
Okay, well, that's my point, though, because you and I, we do this a lot. We do this a lot, where we identify just the lowest of hanging fruit. I'm talking the shit is laying on the ground low, and Dave and the creatives always seem to kind of snub their noses at those easy wins.
Yeah, I mean, that is, they do that often. I mean, I think that it's more likely to show up because Hondo is a Dave creation, right? Like Hondo was under Dave's purview when he was first introduced into Star Wars, so Dave is less likely to forget about.
That is true.
him.
Dave tends to favor not necessarily his direct creations, but characters that he has helped to cultivate. Yeah, and Hondo would fall into that realm.
Yeah,
like Bat says, I mean, that Old Republic credit coming out clearly gets this place interested in more than just the chef. I mean, it's like as soon as word gets out that these fucking kids have these credits, they're essentially fresh meat for all these scuzzbags. So, we're still here, and what do we do? We're lost, really lost. Stay together. We just need some directions home. All right. So they get themselves into this little asteroid thing. It looks like a bazaar of some sort, a market. It seems like there's vendors and bars and eateries. We got Wim and Neil. They're filling their bellies here. And he's just like, and that's where we get the, come on, kid, pay up. And then he goes, whoa. And that's, as we're looking at it, that's where the chef says, not a chef, it was one of the other. There's like I think I have him on the next screen. He almost looks like a crustacean.
Yeah, I was going to say he kind of looks like a dinosaur from the old TV show Dinosaurs.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly, dude. Like,
yeah.
Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama. That shit. Yeah, you're spot on. So, but let's look at these credits again. I mean, right there, that looks very similar to the Imperial sigil, but didn't the Old Republic sigil look that way too? Or the Republic?
I don't think the Republic...
Can you pull it up real quick, or I'll grab it on Google?
Let me see, Old Republic, Star Wars. I'm sure that the actual Old Republic sigil is definitely a little different. It's like a split between.
Well, do the Grand Republic then.
Yeah, like this split crest, and then they may not even have anything for Grand Republic. Yeah, let's see.
The Iron
Grand
Dukes.
Republic Army. Yeah, it looks more like the Grand Republic, the Army of the Grand Republic.
So that makes sense. I mean, these people, if they're in the Mandoverse era, calling the Grand Republic the Old Republic makes sense, I think, because they, as Nick said earlier, they're now living in a galaxy with a new republic. So that is the Old Republic. So I do believe this is from the prequel era. We can confirm that. Iron Duke saying, "How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you." That was the intro of Pirates of Star Wars.
Technically, yes. Technically,
that's more semantically, I would say, than technically. Like that's all semantics. I mean, that'd be like me calling Nick a cunt, and we now identify him as a cunt. It's two buddies using language to reminisce. Is how I took that. I never saw Han Solo as a space pirate.
Yeah, I mean, they always referred to him as a scoundrel and a smuggler. So like, that's typically what you do. I mean, then you get into like, what's the real difference between a smuggler and a pirate? And a smuggler works for somebody else. A pirate steals for himself.
Right.
So like,
yeah, exactly. So I will agree to disagree because I'm right. Thank you, Ryder Duke. No, we speak your name. It's all good. But yeah, I think we've settled this then. This is definitely Grand Republic credits, which you would think at this point in time probably do have some value and would definitely make people question how the fuck did you get those? Because the Empire would have gotten rid of all this currency and replaced it with their own.
Yeah, 100%.
So we may also be onto something that the ship is going to be from the Grand Republic era. Now that era lasted a pretty decent chunk of time.
Yep.
So it could be back in the High Republic type of stuff, because that's still the same Republic technically. Like the High Republic and the Grand Republic, it's the same thing.
It's one continuous reign.
Correct.
But you could even go further back than that, right? Like you can go back like
the true
1,000
old Republic.
Yeah, like 1,000 years late, like even further back. But yeah, I feel like they're trying to stick this in the prequel time period. Like this is it's a prequel era ship. We know that there were pirates that were active during that time period. Because of Hondo and all the people that we already know about, and we've seen active pirates in this time period already from the Mandalorian. So I would imagine that that they are they found an old pirate ship from
that that had some cashola on it, had some leftover treasure remnants. You could argue that ship probably has a ton of secrets that may even lead them to this treasure room we see towards the end of the trailer. All right, I like it. We're setting up some we're setting up some good speculation here, and I'm glad you brought up the Pirate King that got taken out in Mando season 3. You got to think that has opened up a void. Now it seems that Vane is trying to jockey for that position. This could also be an opportunity for Hondo, but as we just discussed in his deep dive, he doesn't really fuck with pirates after the fall of the Empire. He kind of does his own thing, works more with the Resistance, still cuts some shady illegal deals. But for the most part, his pirate life is over. But I don't care. If we're talking about pirates and Star Wars, I still think Hondo goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Right. And I think we, like you mentioned, Vane, I think we see him pretty
100%. He gets involved once the kids reveal these credits. And, the next slide, Jawas, they hear about the Old Republic credits. They're like, what the shit? Like Nick said, not the mom is like, where'd you get those, you cocksuckers? And as I said about Jadna, he's sitting there, and at least the way they cut the trailer, Nick, it looks like he even hears that exchange, and he's like, holy shit. Really, the kids getting lunch there was the worst thing they could have done, because it tips off this entire asteroid and all the shitty and scoundrelly type of people there. It makes them go, ding, 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 opportunity is knocking, right?
Yeah, it definitely brings attention to them from every direction. So, I don't, some good, some bad, I guess.
And honestly, I know we're setting him up as he's a Force user. It means he's probably good, but I think Jadna, when he hears this, he thinks he's got multiple opportunities. I think he's like, all right, I can sell myself to these kids as someone that's going to help them, but I'm ultimately going to use them in their credits in this ship because I need to accomplish this bullshit I've been trying to accomplish my whole shitty life.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I think that at this point in his life, he's probably just kind of reverted to a bit of scoundrel activity himself.
Yeah. We identified in trailer 1, I think you briefly see it again in this trailer, his pistol literally looks like a real life pirate's flintlock.
Yeah.
All right, so again, the kids, they've been outed, they got these credits, they got this place juiced up, they're yelling for help. We see Jadna looking, okay, they're running, it looks, they flip the fire up to get away from the chef. I think Vane was right there with them too. There's Jadna looking out. He's looking for him. He's got to keep him safe. The kids are running. We hear over the trailer, over here, quick. I'll get you home. Yeah, I bet you will, Jadna. All right. We see him. The next shot, all right, Nick, where he's kind of showing them the ramp to their ship. This is definitely not taking place in the same moment of them getting the fuck out of Dodge, correct? This is on...
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any way. Well, one, you can look outside and
There's
see
mountains.
like sky,
Yeah.
and mountains and stuff like that. So they're clearly not at that space station anymore.
Right. I actually think this is going to be this planet we get to towards the end of the trailer where Gunter, Jaleel's character, is looking up and there's X-wings flying around them. I'm pretty sure that's this landing pad. But either way, they're friends in quotes at this point in time. And, we'll make a partnership, but we have to move fast, and that's where you get the Fwana Duba Dopa Bo. You gotta like that. They literally hut teased up Major Tom for the trailer. All right, so they're back on the ship. We got some hijinks going. Jadna's like, I need you to take the controls to Neil. And Neil's like, sure. And everyone's like, Neil? And Neil takes over. And it seems we're on another planet. All right, so I think this one is different too, Nick. We saw this one a little bit more in-depthly in the first trailer. It's the planet where the kids are watching the ship almost get eaten by another ship. Does that ring a bell? Where they kind of come up on this crater, and in the crater it seems like there's this little either settlement or maybe it's a prison. But their ship looks like it's literally about to be eaten alive. So
yeah.
I think we're at least at 3 different locations so far in the trailer. Neil, he pulls it off, looking good. He's piloting like a boss. There we go, Jadna walking off. I believe this is the planet we saw him kind of leading them to the ramp. Blah, blah, blah. We get some GG at Atten, Haspiaka. Jadna, a crew of murderous pirates is coming. All right, something's wrong. They're not going to just turn up. We need to find them. We're not alone down here. All right, so clearly what happens on that asteroid is going to plague them throughout this season.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of set up their antagonists. It's going to bring Jadna into the fold, and it's going to set up the main plot of them, A, trying to find their way home, and B, trying to escape their pursuers, which, as we can see, it looks like they're coming after them in spacesuits. They're attaching to their ship in space. We get to see the pirate crew led here by Gunter. You get Ishi Tib and some other nefarious-looking punks. It even looks like we got a New Republic soldier back here in this screenshot. So maybe they're on a New Republic planet trying to shake down and find where the kids are at. But it does seem once we leave this asteroid, that this is where we're going to get into the actual Goonies part. There's going to be some mystery, some pirate treasure that they either learn about on the ship, I believe, or on that asteroid base. Or more than likely, do you think Jadna could be the one delivering the legend to them?
I mean, I feel like if he already knew about the legend, then he would probably just pursue it himself, unless it is specifically tied to that ship. I think that whatever treasure it is that they're hunting is probably going to be divined from the ship itself, either like coordinates that were used in a jump or something like that. Because if it's just like a known thing that like, oh yeah, there's this like pirate treasure out there, people probably would have hunted it down unless it was very dependent on like the Nava computer of a specific ship or something like that.
Okay, so we got Mando Pirate saying he doesn't think Jod's really Jedi. He's more like Kumail Nanjiani's character from Obi-Wan. I could see that, but we actually see him use the Force. In the first trailer, he uses the Force to snag a key.
Yeah,
to get him and the kids out of prison. And now we learn, Nick, they actually meet before they get locked up. So they are going to get locked up as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody's going to catch them. And I would imagine that it's like a New Republic patrol that catches them.
It's pretty dingy dungeon they threw him in, but hey, we know they're New Republic. They're probably cheap asses like the Empire. So
yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, they're on like it almost looks like they're on Kanto at some point. Like it's a very ritzy looking location. This is where Jod's really panicking about, the pirates are coming. Here we got the kids. It looks like they get involved in some sort of like civil war on the planet. I mean, they're literally, they formed a line. We've got KB, Fern literally has a World War II helmet on. Neil's got a blaster. Wim's got something. Yeah, they're holding the line. So I don't know if this is. It looks like the planet where I think their ship might be eaten. Who knows? Maybe it is like a slave planet, or they're being forced to work, and maybe the kids and Jod somehow kick off some sort of mini revolution, kind of like Leet did in the Kenobi or the Solo movie. We get to see SM in action a little bit. He definitely looks like he can fuck around. He's not a goldenrod. He's definitely more akin to like a K2 type of droid, but maybe even manlier. Right? He seems a little thicker. He's picking people up, chucking them. This is all happening on that asteroid base. There we get a great look at him. I love that he has put a patch over the eye that we saw earlier that was not working. I think that is classic.
Very pirate.
And Nick, if you look, who's he talking to? He's talking to Vane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's Vane right there. So that I think this is SM possibly stepping in like, hey, you guys might recognize me, or you might have heard of my kind or my model. Don't fuck with the Chuck type of stuff. Because he is a pirate robot. I believe, as I just, or maybe I didn't say it, I'm losing my mind. I think he has a peg leg. Right there he is, knocking more people out. Can't wait to see SM-33 in action. We got another shot of the kids' home planet. And again, it's just kind of shocking to see almost an Earth-like suburb in Star Wars. But as we can see, there is some sort of city center in the distance. They got this big pillar. Still have no clue what city it could be. It doesn't look like Lothal. It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, it's a much more lush and green space than we've ever seen in Star Wars, especially for an inhabited planet.
So, Nick, I believe this next shot of this lady, played by Carrie Condon, this is taking place in the city center of the planet we just looked at there. And based on her garb, do you feel like she's a New Republic senator?
I mean, it's so hard to tell. I mean, she's wearing like a blue cloak and then a little... I mean,
it looks very Mon Mothma. Very Mon Mothma.
It could be, but I don't think that she's a Republic senator. She's probably one of the kids' parents talking to the other kid's parent, being what did your son get me into? Yeah,
I mean, it is... let me get the... Yeah, the dialogue we get is something's wrong. They're not going to just turn up. We need to find them. We're not alone. Okay, that's the two people talking. So we know the black guy is Wim's dad. This lady, to me, in the office they're in, it's not like they're in a house. They're downtown in a building somewhere. I feel like she's either the governor of the planet, the mayor of this town. I do not think she's just a housewife, if that makes sense.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, the way she's dressed, the way he's coming to her asking, like, hey, we got to do something. I think she's got some power given to her by the people. If she's not a senator, I do believe she's at least a local government official.
Yeah, very possible.
So they're panicking. They know they can't find the kids. Kids are never coming back. We just get more quick cuts of these one-eyed droids that look like may be sent out even from this planet, because we get to see one in the same room, the same building that we just saw Wim's dad talking to the lady. There's a great shot of Neo. We love you, buddy. And it's really just the trailer. This is where it kind of starts picking up, gets very action-oriented. We see Fern and this. It almost looks like the fucking Cholulu, right? That thing coming out with the green eyes and octopus arms. Yeah,
it looks like a very big... I don't know. Yeah. Octopus, cephalopod, whatever you want to call it.
How do you say that thing? The CHTHU.
Cthulhu.
Is it Cthulhu or Cthulhu?
I don't know. I've always said Cthulhu, but I have no idea what the proper pronunciation is. But yeah, it's some sort of alien beast that is approaching her.
And it seems it's in this cave, whatever, hidden temple that the kids have found themselves in. Saying, hey, we're not alone down here. And then you get this big thing. And then the trailer cuts in. Well, here's that mountain planet we talked about. It's just not ringing a bell. You know what it kind of looks like? And we didn't see a lot of it. Is it Vandor from Solo, Nick, where the heist takes place?
Oh man, that's a good question.
I think that is the planet. It kind of has some Vandor vibes, but you can see we've got the kids' ship is there, or what we're thinking is a pirate ship. The pirates show up there. We got an X-wing buzzing by. I'd bet my ass that's Carson Teva up there in that X-wing.
Probably.
And then we shift back to now this right here. We've got Jadna. He's pulling a knife out of a skeleton.
Some skeleton.
But it doesn't. I mean, it could be on the ship. It could be in a building that's kind of been not entered for decades because it does look all run down. We start to see the Indiana Jones like security system there. Okay, we got like blowing lasers by. Good thing the kids are short, or they would have been done right there. It's just more of the pirates attack, and there's SM looking good. Here's this mountain planet they end up on. I'm guessing they're probably gonna have to reclaim their ship on this planet, possibly from the New Republic or pirates.
Yeah.
This next shot here, 69-75, Nick. This is that. Like I don't know if you want to call it a landfill planet or whatever, or chop shop, but
yeah, it's definitely like a salvaging salvage yard or salvage spot of some kind for sure. Yeah.
So I'm wondering. I almost think that they crash on this planet. I mean, the ship looks like it's in dire straits. They're crashed. This thing's about to get eaten. They got to save it. So that's that.
Yep.
There's Jod with him. Obviously, he's got them all dressed up. So I mean, he is definitely going to play that line. I think he'll be dipping his toe on both sides of the morality fence. This is the shot that intrigues me the most. Okay, and for those listening, there's a shot in the trailer of the bridge of the ship that the kids are on. But now we have a bunch of adults. Very well could be the pirates we saw in the past few shots. And over the hologram, we've got this same lady that I talked about before in these, very senator-looking garb. And I believe, what does she say? She says something like, if you hear this, don't give up. So it is like she somehow got a signal to this ship, Nick, but I believe at this point in time, the ship has been commandeered.
Yeah, it looks like it has been at the very least. And this message is probably, I don't know if it's live. It doesn't seem like it's live. It may just be a message that was sent that they
I think she probably just broadcasted it and pinged it out there, and anyone that scans the channel will get it, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something similar for sure.
So somehow the message makes it to the ship, but it looks like the kids no longer possess the ship. And then here they are. This is them, I believe, trying to reclaim the ship from the thing that's going to eat it. Mm-hmm. That should be some fun action. And there we go. This treasure room, dude. I've been trying to look at the imagery and the iconography, and nothing is really ringing a bell. I mean, if anything, it looks like something from Wakanda. Like that mask to me just screams Black Panther, Wakanda, one of the tribes on Wakanda.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly very old. If now, here's what I'll say: if that is old Republic credits, that could be a sign that whoever had this ship before had been to this place prior and had taken something with him.
Or it could be their stash. I mean, where they've dropped all their loot.
Where they kept all their loot or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, the mask personally reminds me of like a mask from the Old Republic video game. But I can't remember the name of the mask now. It's because they all have, like, all the armor sets have different names and stuff, but this is very reminiscent of that. And everything in here looks patinaed. Like, it looks old. It looks, like even ancient in some instances, like the carvings on the walls and stuff. Like,
I mean, there have been, and I don't think we got them in this trailer, but some of the wall carvings have felt either Sithy or Zepho-y.
Yeah, could definitely. I mean, I remember when when this show was first announced, like there was some speculation that there would be like Zepho either monuments or Zepho, like something to do with the Zepho scene in the show, which I mean would make sense as well. But yeah, like I wonder if they're kind of using this to lead into an introduction of an ancient civilization, or like, you know, really dive into, I guess, more of like the history of the galaxy in a way, unlike what we've done in the past, where you've kind of always stayed in the present time that you're in, and you've never really looked back at history in Star Wars. You've always kind of lived in the moment. But it would be interesting if they use this to kind of like talk about like ancient lost civilizations like the Zepho or others.
And to build on that, Nick, I want to kind of pick your speculative brain. This, to me, it feels more like a loot room than an organized, put together shrine of some sort. It does feel like people just, whoever had access to this room after a raid, they'd come back and just fucking dump their shit, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily feel themed or organized or designed at IKEA.
Yeah. I mean, the other possibility is that this is like an offering chamber.
Okay.
Because, you know, like in ancient, you know, human civilizations, they would have rooms like this where it's like, okay, you know, here's the shrine and here's like the centerpiece is your god or whatever you're worshiping. In this case, it's the big mask. And then people would just come in and leave what they have as an offering to the gods, which is why you see some like, yeah, there's definitely some gold and stuff in there, but there's also fucking candlestick holders, there's chairs, there's
it just feels like your prototypical pirate loot stash.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely could be that too.
My follow-up question is, clearly we know why the pirates are interested in finding this and getting information and getting there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Jad Na's ultimate motivation is? Do you think there is a legend or some lore that he knows about this loot chest or this room, this treasure room that could either hold some ancient Jedi secrets or Sith secrets or just Force user secrets?
Yeah, I mean, assuredly there are artifacts that are, you know, that he's probably looking for, especially being somebody that we assume is a former Jedi at the very least. We know he's a Force user. So relics, anything like that would make the most sense for his interests. And given the state of the room and given like some of the very old things that we see in here, it's probably not far off that he would be able to find what he's looking for.
Yeah,
here.
okay. Yeah, I do believe outside the kids, every player in the series is going to have their own motivation for finding this room. And quite frankly, we could potentially argue that maybe the kids also think that this room will unlock their way home. Or maybe Jad Na has told them that, like, hey, if we do make it to this secret legendary pirate treasure, we will figure out this ship once and for all and how to return you to your origin coordinates, something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, the ultimate question here is like, okay, if you're these kids and you have somehow found your way away from your home planet on this ship, one, obviously they're very young. Neil seems to have some sort of ability to pilot this ship. Do you not know the name of your own home planet, and can you not find it on is it not available in the Navicomputer?
Nick, I'm glad you brought it up because I was just thinking the same thing. Like, wait, these fucking kids at least know where they live. They can just punch it in. But we could argue because this ship is older, maybe it doesn't even have that type of Navicomputer.
Yeah, it may not. Like, it may not have the ability to like search through system, or it may not be updated. Like, who knows how old this ship is and what the Navicomputer has in it. So essentially, they're being drug around the galaxy either by the will of whatever the Navicomputer is doing, or by Jad Na himself piloting them towards specific destinations with the promise of like, oh, well, once we get here, then we'll go home, or once we get here, then we'll go home.
That's right. And he keeps stringing them along to get ultimately what he wants. And
yeah, because for some reason, these kids just can't get back home. Like, and it's probably because the ship is too old and the Navicomputer doesn't have the
I hope
location.
Because if it's something like, yo, we live on Ryloth, and he's like, well, shit, we can't find that. It'd be like, no, please explain it to us. Maybe, dude, it could be it ran out of fucking coaxium or something. Maybe it doesn't even have the fuel to make jumps anymore, and that's why they're figuring this shit out. But it's got to be explained why these kids can't just go, oh yeah, hey, well, just drop us off back on Tatooine, thanks.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we fucked up, but hey, we, just here's our address. Like every kid is supposed to know their address, right? If you get lost, you know your address.
Exactly, like kindergarten stuff. Yeah,
like that's some pretty, early childhood stuff. So I would imagine that there is something that prevents them from using the ship to go back home.
Yeah, and the last shot of the trailer, we see that they all do make it to this room. I mean, Jod's in the back. This could be when he potentially springs his little trap or trick. But they've made it. Pirates are more than likely hot on their trail. They're coming to this room to find something, and we believe that something is probably different for every group. The kids, it's probably something that they've been told is going to get them home. That could be a lie or could be true. For Jodna, it's more than likely something from his past or something that he has known about and has been seeking for years. And for the pirates, well, it's just fucking loot, and that's what they do. So I'm digging it. I mean, we talked about this before. It kind of sucks that Nick kind of has gone through it. I'm feeling a bit where it's hard to really get as excited as I used to for new Star Wars. I mean, it'd almost be like Christmas, and I'd feel that level of nervous excitement, and night of, it'd be hard to sleep. I'm not feeling that for Skeleton Crew, but I really haven't felt that for a minute, so I'm not going to blame that on any of the trailers. I do dig this kind of new spin on a Star Wars story. I think it could come off extremely well and even please the fucknuts outside of them already talking shit about the kids. I mean, I saw, it was last week, literally people shit talking. He was probably a 2-year-old or 3-year-old kid that dressed up as Khmer online. Like that's where that side has taken things, and I fear it's only going to get saucier over the next 4 years. But I'm down. I love this trailer. I think this is going to be a fun little Star Wars experiment, and one that might actually be able to bridge that gap that the Acolyte couldn't quite cover with the nut jobs out there. So 12/3 double premiere drop. Nick and I will at least cover the first 4 episodes, but I have made the call. Maybe New Year's I might do some solo shit, but I don't see I think I'm going to tap out for episodes 5 and 6. We'll come back and continue 7 and 8. It's going to be tough. May the force be with me there, but I can't do it. Fuck it. It's not worth it. I'm growing, people. A year of therapy now. It's helping. I might finally be able to just say no to myself when it comes to, no, you got to make content for 20 people. All right, my man, it's about that time to transition over into the fan segment. We do it every show right here at the end. To get involved, you have 2 avenues. You can participate in our question of the week. We post it to Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. We've got our Discord, which is open. Just check out the description of this video to join. YouTube, all the fun stuff. You just got to be following, turn on notifications, and get your answer in. And then after that, if you've got a little flair for the arts, you could even be a fecal sculpture type of person. If it's Star Wars related, we want you to use our hashtag on Instagram, Star Wars Time Show. But more importantly, for young Nick to choose the winner of the top 5 that we will bless and honor on the Star Wars Time Show, you need to do ad tag at StarWarsTime.show. All right, let me get the screen switched up here. See your browser. Hello, Slack. It's a light question of the week, which is good because I decided to go for the double whammy today. Not only do I not feel great about life, I decided to get both of my jabs. So I was like, hey, if you're already feeling bad, let's kind of couple the mental bad feels with some actual physical bad feels. And 4 hours after my shot, my fucking head is already starting to cramp on itself. Like I'm going to have a not good headache the rest of this night. So thank you, science. Hopefully you don't disappear. RFK Jr., watch out. All right, Nick, here we go. We got some questions coming up from the some replies from the fans. I asked them, hey, do you prefer Clone Wars, Rebels, or the Galaxy's Edge version of Hondo Ohnaka?
All right.
Let's see what they had to say there.
Johnny Osage says, hello, SWTS. Clone Wars Hondo is, in my opinion, the best version. I hope we get to see him in Skeleton Crew. Yo ho, yo ho. We Quay's life for me. There we go. So good stuff from Johnny. Nova Toymation says Clone Wars Hondo FTW for the win. Mando Pirate also agrees Clone Wars because he was at his best with his whole crew and he was just funny as hell. And then 2797 Studios says, I gotta go Clone Wars Hondo. He was a real pirate then. His crew partied hard and fought like beasts. Hondo was edgier and a lot more fun, and his men would stab him in the back for scrap. Real pirates, Rebels Hondo always felt tamed to me. And the Galaxy's Edge version is Disney. We're going to see him in Skeleton Crew, I'm betting.
Yeah, like Clone Wars winning out pretty hardcore there. I think I got to agree with B-Mad. I kind of liked Rebels Hondo. He was just different. Like, he was still a shithead. He would betray Ezra and then help Ezra and then ultimately love the little kid. So I kind of like that dynamic. He was going through some shit in that era.
Yeah, I would say a lot of different emotions from Hondo in that show.
There we go. Short and sweet this week. I'm not complaining.
That's right. All right. Next up, we have the top 5. Like Matt said, to get involved, make sure to tag at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram for all your Star Wars posts. That's how you get into our feed, and that is how you make the top 5. All right.
Boom.
To kick off this week, we have 1/6 Lovers, and 1/6 Lovers gives us a bunch of angles of this brand new Palpatine figure here. Is this a new one, or is this just an old?
Yeah, Bat earlier was like, "Oh, dude, you got to get it. Don't worry, Bat. It's on pre-order. I just got to get through the payments. He's coming." I agree with you. I especially now that we're going to have Clone Wars Maul and Clone Wars or Savage with this pairing. That's going to make a great looking shelf. So yeah, Nick, this is Sheev in his Clone Wars form when he goes to fight the dudes.
Yes, indeed. You can tell by the lightsaber, the cloak, everything. It's a clean looking figure, and 1/6 Lovers got some clean looking shots.
Look at that fucking facial expression. Like, he just looks like a guy that could take over the galaxy.
Indeed, he does.
Or
indeed, he
like
does.
Chester the Molester.
All right, that's 1/6 _lovers on Instagram. Next up, we got Just Tebow. So I don't know if they're just a huge fan of Tebow the Ewok. I think they are from their profile picture. But Just Tebow gives us. I love the setup here. It's a very standard Imperial shot where you got the big man in front, Vader with his lightsaber ignited, standing in his standard imposing type of stance, and then flanked off to the side, you have 3 stormtroopers on one side and 3 on another, making an awesome little V formation, clearly standing in the hull of some sort of Imperial vessel. Just a really good, I guess you would say, villain shot here from Tebow, Just Tebow.
Yeah, and I need to do some investigative work here, Nick, but I think Just Tebow is either related to Star Wars Rick or is another personality of Star Wars Rick, because the style is the same, and I saw Star Wars Rick doing a lot of sharing of Just Tebow, so I don't, maybe they're trying to kick off a second account, but either way, I'm with you, man. That's my guy, even though we shit on him a month ago in his in our special topic segment of who could beat Vader, and we found 15 people and pretty much decided anyone could beat Vader. So
there you go.
But no, he looks good with his boys in white. This is Just Tebow on Instagram.
That's right. Next up, we have Dank Ferric Toys, and Dank Ferric Toys has given us a mashup between 2 of our favorite properties. That is Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, and that is through Ahsoka the White.
That's right.
And you can see that not only is she Ahsoka the White in her garb, but she's also got the staff. She has Gandalf's staff, lit as it was on the battlefield of the Pelennor Fields. She's also got her lightsaber there. Epic pose. You can see the mountains of Mordor in the background and standing on the parapets of Minas Tirith. It's just an awesome combo shot here. It just fits so well for this character. I mean, I think that, before the Ahsoka series came out, there may have even been a comparison drawn by Dave Filoni himself between Ahsoka the White and Gandalf the White. So good little mashup here from Dank Ferric Toys.
I like this. We got a who could beat Vader discussion going on in the chat. B-Mad said I could beat Vader, and then Bat said I could beat Vader, and then B-Mad said Matt Lou could definitely beat Vader, and
definitely
I agree on both counts. Yeah, I mean she's a good looking figure. I believe this is the Black Series Ahsoka the White. I'm waiting on my Hot Toys Ahsoka the White, and the Ahsoka series seems to be shipping out. So if you're a Hot Toys collector and you had all those bad boys pre-ordered a year ago this time, they're starting to come through. And yeah, I mean, I love this lady. She's both wise, charming, and dare I say, sexy. Okay, thank you. I said it.
There you go. All right, next up we have Mr. Stormtrooper Davis.
I love these fucking zombie troopers, man.
Yeah, this is again going back to the Ahsoka series, and it was the perfect Halloween shot for the time. So we see the zombie stormtroopers from the Ahsoka series lumbering their way down a smoky and dim lit hallway that is probably the temple area that we saw from the Ahsoka series on Peridia.
Look, Thrawn even decorated with pumpkins.
Yeah, he's got some little pumpkins out there. He celebrates the Halloween holiday even in a different galaxy. But I mean, it's great here. The weathering on these figures is awesome. The little green dots in the eyes for all of them definitely match what you saw on the show. And then obviously the posing and
the posing is masterful.
Great.
The posing is masterful. I mean, to get these little dickheads to look like zombies and their plastic figures, that's pretty damn impressive by Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, who is really, I mean, their account, we followed them since day one. Their account's now double digits, thousands. So
yeah, 10,000 plus.
Kudos. I remember those days, Nick, when we had an active and big Instagram account, but never to be again.
that was
taken out by the man.
That was a time. And then to close out the top 5 this week, we have Mando mugshots with another Ahsoka shot from the Ahsoka series, this time recreating the World Between Worlds episode between her and Anakin. We see the older Ahsoka whipping both of her white blades, standing on the light bridge of the World Between Worlds, and in the very, very foreground, you can see the red lightsaber of Lord Vader ignited as she gets down or gets ready to show down against her former master. I mean, I think the depiction of the World Between Worlds in the background and like this whole shot is amazing from Mando mugshots. The posing is fantastic, and I love the use of the extreme foreground here to show that red lightsaber.
I kind of wish mugshots was still in here. I know it gets late across the pond, so they might be passed out, because I am curious how the World Between Worlds effect was pulled off. I know that Mando is an expert at the Digirama, but how are we getting that projected down by her feet unless, there's plexiglass and we're shooting up through there? I don't know how they did it. I don't give a shit. It looks great. Great scene recreation. Kudos to Mando_mugshots on that IG. Oh, there you go. Mando, how do we do this? How do we shoot the background if you could? And I'll read it to the audio only audience if you don't mind sharing your trick, Mando mugshots. League's thinking it might be a mirror. We'll see. iMac background.
Look at that. Damn, that's impressive. That is impressive.
Well, we've always said here that I believe Mando mugshots is one of the best Digirama shooters out there.
Oh yeah.
And I still don't know if Mando even uses a real camera. I believe they started as a smartphone photographer. But yeah, it doesn't matter. As you can see, it doesn't matter. The device does not matter. It's the person behind the device, their mind, their ability to think creatively, use tools like Photoshop, like Mugshots is saying here. So dig this shot from Mando_Mugshots on the Instagram.
That is right. And that's it, people. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of our show for this week. So Matt, go ahead. I feel
like my eyeball is going to explode. God damn it, man. Vaccines really are harmful. Why the fuck did I take it? God damn it. Please outlaw them. Fuck. I am going to feel like shit. I know it. I got lucky last year. Moderna didn't hurt me for the first time, but this new one, oh my God. My brain literally feels like it is pulling from my skull as we talk. Yay me. But like I said, I am a glutton for punishment, and I really wanted to feel like shit today. So I brought in the physical pain in addition to the soul pain. Yeah! Yeah! That's right. Throw me those fucking trophies. Let's do this! Another show done, my friends. Appreciate you. Thanks for helping me limp along while we waited on young Nick to come in here and save the day. I think that might have added to my brain feeling like it wants to crawl out of my ears, but I appreciate you all. Hopefully I'm alive by this time next week. I don't think the Dubious Maximus is even going to help. That's just going to add more pressure to what I'm feeling beating in my head. So we'll see. Maybe some gummy gum, but I know I'll get through it. And if not, I died, and you guys can blame vaccines. Okay? It's been real, people. I appreciate all of you that show up here. There's another update from Mugshots. He is using a real camera these days, so
there you go.
Kudos to your growth.
Nice.
We've been following your career with great interest since day one. But like Nick said, it's time to fucking go home, my friends. I've had enough. My eyes, my brain, everything wants to leave my skull at this point. So I'm just going to remind you, there's always time for Star Wars time. And if you need to see what we're getting into in between the Wednesday lives, you can always go to StarWarsTime.net to do that. And if you meet some knucklehead out there that you think would like the SWTS, just tell them, hey, StarWarsTime.net, StarWarsTime.net. Just go there, check it out, see what they do, look at their content, poke around one of the podcast episodes. Most definitely follow them on podcast platforms, and then consider making the crossover to the big leagues, which is committing 2.5 hours or more of your week live every Wednesday on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, people, I appreciate you all. Wish me luck over these next 36 hours. I think I've got my answer here. There you go, Be Mad, that a boy. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, you will not be disappointed. Not be disappointed. You're looking at hundreds of hours across the 3 games, so enjoy that, especially if I'm dead, because if I'm dead, I don't think Nick's going to pick up the mantle. I think the show dies with me, so we'll see. All right, StarWarsTime.net, people. Follow those socials. That's how you'll find out if I'm dead or not. Discord down in the description of this video. And please consider becoming a member if you have not done so yet. We love you, but we love your money even more. All right, people. If you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you. Always.